Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Graybeards. My name's Wayne, and to my stage left is good friend Bug. He says I'm up or down wherever, but he's
Hollywood Squares. It's the BUG.
yes, sir. I hope everybody's doing well out there in Graybeards land, family, friends, and fans. We're cruising close to 100 subscribers. Yay, whatever. I don't know what that means, but it's a um, check out our stuff if you will. Just a little plug. Hit the like, subscribe, comments, please. I love the comments. You'll get a reply from me, not so much from my counterpart, wherever he is on your screen.
Yeah, the captain of the ship, Waynsky.
Yeah.
He's really diligent about reaching out and reading everything and letting me know that I'm not. Every
I'm
Monday
gonna
I
call
got to
you
hear
out.
this
If
freaking
you
thing.
know anything, I'm gonna call you out.
Yeah, he's gonna call me out. And
Yeah.
they he's using some subtlety, I guess, but he's not really being subtle about
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? He's like,
Subtle.
yeah,
It's
he ain't watching the show. He ain't looking
yeah.
at the comments.
I'm not
I got to
not so
endure
subtle.
this.
Well, there's a couple things going on in the world, and at least in our part of the world. Spring is in the air. The first day of spring was what, Friday, I believe. This is Sunday. It's a Sunday for us.
Mm,
You'll probably see this today. I'll try to get it out. I don't do the fancy AI, this and that. And, if you stay to the end, I appreciate it. And then we bug too. But
yeah,
spring and the green,
spring is in there.
yeah, the green.
And this is my natural diet period. I lose weight because I'm out there. Not that I'm disciplined or anything like that. It's just the nature of my activities that I'm
Oh, yeah.
participating in. Dealing with that
Well,
orb out there called the sun.
well,
Yeah.
everything here in right now is the pollen right now. It's just atrocious. I was out in it yesterday and I was like, I had this green stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see the pollen moving through the air.
Yeah.
It's just
It,
like sheets of
yeah. Well, I was like, what?
I'm in a darn plant porn movie.
Mm-hmm. I was looking out the back of the trailer here and looking into the wooded area behind us, and the daggone, it looked like there was a fog.
hmm
It was just a pollen coming off the pine trees around me. It was just unbelievable.
It's crazy
Yeah.
how it is. I don't know if it's like that everywhere in the United States, but down here in South Carolina,
Mm.
man, it is deep.
I mean, when I don't recall when I was up north in North Dakota or any of that there was, well, for one, there's very little trees, if any, right? The state tree is a telephone pole,
hmm
and the state bird is a mosquito. Is bad up there. And some of my
Yeah,
friends that still live up there, family that live up there, and they know what I'm talking about. They're atrocious.
yeah. Hey, you brought up a word today. Prior to starting Easter.
Easter, yeah. Enlighten us
Easter.
about. Yeah, Easter, right? I
Yeah.
saw someone on. They had two. They were themselves, and they would say something over here as Jesus, right? You
Yeah.
celebrate what? And what do you call it? Well, we call it Easter. And
Yeah.
Easter is,
Yeah. Easter, I'm just going straight from my little memory that I have, but Easter is a celebration. It was a pagan type situation. And they worship the fertility gods. But Easter symbolized the beginning of the new season, the springtime.
mm,
It just happens to coincide with um, the Passover. You know, they're kind of in the same area, and I think the church kind of incorporated the two events, and
yeah,
it became known as Easter. That's why when you go to church, all you churchgoers, you go and you have to say a Easter speech. not a Passover speech, but an Easter speech.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so they kind of incorporate. That's why you see the Easter eggs at the church, and you see the cross and all this kind of stuff. So we kind of mix some paganism with some Christianity, and voila, we got Easter. You know, yeah. So that's my little thing on it. If you guys know more about it, I didn't do a deep dive, but that word Easter is in the Bible, and it's basically commemorating a holiday that was already existing
Yeah.
prior to Christianity.
Well, growing up for us, my mom always did a wonderful thing for, Easter. We all had baskets and she would hide the Easter eggs all over, and we'd
Hmm.
go look for them. She'd do it the night before. She did it. It was amazing that she did, but she never gave us, we would go to church if we went to church at all. It was tough because a lot of times my dad was working or gone, and yeah, it's not easy task for you know a woman, my mother,
It
to
was like
gather
4 kids, right?
four kids, and you might as well count me as like two and a half because I was,
Yeah, I can see that.
apparently I was just terrible as a kid growing up,
Yeah, I
a
can imagine.
handful, if you will.
Yeah,
And we'd
yeah.
all have to get dressed up in their nice fancy clothes to go to church, and
Hmm.
being me. Um,
When
but
was the last Easter that you can recall?
what do you mean?
The last time your mom had you participate in Easter, and what happened? Kind of walk us through that. You know what I'm saying? You had to get dressed. How old were you when you think the last time y'all did the Easter thing before she's like, you know what? We're not doing it no more.
Well,
This is too big.
so for my siblings and I, we're pretty close in age, except for my
Mhm.
youngest brother. He's almost, well, he's like over 5.5 years younger than I am. So I would say probably for us, the last Easter would probably be, and it was, I say the last Easter, it kind of dwindled in the excitement as we got. But she, as far as long as I can remember, probably until we were probably, you know, teenagers, I would suppose. But she always
Okay.
did baskets for us, but we didn't do the hunt. She didn't really go doing the hiding the Easter eggs for us to go hunt them and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But they were always
Now,
inside.
yeah.
It
Okay,
wasn't
she didn't take it
outside.
outside. We had to go outside and hunt them in the grass,
Yeah,
foliage, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. But she always did Easter baskets. She always kept her baskets. She had them. Same with Halloween. We had these buckets. I swear they were like this big, a huge
Yeah.
giant
Yeah.
bucket. But that was, your perspective as a young
Yeah.
child, and how big, them baskets,
Right.
it-
Right.
it- you know. But yeah, and I was always a big white chocolate kind of guy because it was straight
Okay.
pure sugar, right? I
Hmm.
like chocolate too. Don't get me wrong, but she would
Right.
always she would always get me a white chocolate Easter bunny, right?
Hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem, obviously money was always an issue, right? And then when you used to get solid chocolate bunnies back in the day, they were all solid. Then they went to the cheaper, you know, it looked the same, but it was hollow inside, right?
You bit that bad boy's ear off.
And it would crumble, right? It was like, before you get a solid chocolate,
That's funny. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, I get you, man. But you're right. I do remember the all chocolate Easter bunny, and I would try to figure out where to bite it at first. Okay, I'm gonna
hmm
bite its tail off.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Um,
saying? Nibble on it. Yeah. Good old days, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
my
when they
last
were,
Easter.
you didn't have to worry about that. You didn't have to look for the word solid when
No,
you were
no,
getting
you
that
just
stuff.
knew.
Huh? You
You
just
know it
knew
was
it was
solid.
solid, right? It was heavy and you could get a
Yeah,
lot of it.
it's
So,
amazing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and I know it's not Easter, but it's coming quickly. I forget what day it is.
it changes every year. I can
Yeah.
never keep up with. Sometimes it's in March, sometimes it's in April. But there's very few times it happens in April. I mean March. I'm sorry. I think it happens more in April than it does March.
Yeah.
And I researched that back in the day, but I had to get rid of it. Had to get rid of that information to make room for
I
other stuff.
apo I apologize if I'm constantly doing this is because of allergies. I did take the pollen.
Yeah,
I just was outside and came in.
yeah,
And I was still in bug. What I love about my trailer is the wooded area behind it.
yeah. The wildlife.
Wild squirrels were out there. It drives my
Squirrels.
dog crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's what's
yeah.
up.
But what was your? So when? How old were you when?
Probably was about 12, somewhere between 10 and 12. And Easter was not something I enjoyed, okay? I'm just gonna be honest with you. Not at
Hmm.
that age. I went to be honest, this is gonna be weird. I went to church to actually learn. The one time we only went to church one time a year, and it was Easter. It was just a
Hmm.
tradition. So I wanted to know about this Jesus figure. Hey, what's up with him? What's this guy on the cross? So that's why I was there. But what put a damper on that was the Easter speech. In my household, you had to learn an Easter speech. And depending on how old you were, you had to get up there, you had to memorize the speech, you had to develop the speech, memorize it, and recite in front of a whole congregation of everybody staring you down. And if you messed
Everybody
up,
in the congregation had to do that.
only the kids, no
Oh.
adults. I mean, just the children had to do it. I think from like maybe 13 down to about 5. If you could read, then you had to do an Easter speech. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And everybody had to be decked out. You had to wear a tie. It was always choking me. It was not a pleasant experience for me. You know what I'm saying? It just once I got my Easter speech done, then the joy came. I
Mm.
get to watch these other kids get up there and fumble
Now,
at their Easter speech. You
did
know,
you guys color eggs and stuff? We did. We colored eggs and stuff. We had a
no,
great time
man,
doing
we
that.
we didn't do that. No, I know people that did, but we didn't have the pleasure. My mom, I never colored the Easter egg, but I've seen some very beautiful looking Easter eggs. Now, the Easter eggs that you colored, were they real eggs that was boiled, right?
Hard
Yeah,
boiled
okay.
eggs, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, back then I really wasn't eating boiled eggs. I'm a guy that just recently started eating eggs, relatively
Hmm.
speaking, maybe
Well,
in my 50s.
you don't even eat the egg. You just eat the white egg whites, right?
Yeah. Most of the time, 90%, 95% of the time, I just
But
eat the whites.
you'll get one. You'll eat just not to put your eating habits out, but you like to get a
Yeah,
fried
yeah,
egg
man, the
on.
world needs to know. I'm not
You
embarrassed.
always get a fried egg on your takeout from the.
That thing is delicious, the first time I really actually ate an egg is when I was at Fairchild, and we had this thing called midnight chow, right? So
Hmm.
I was starving as a 19-year old. Went to the dining facility, and they didn't have what I like. They didn't have the grits or whatever. It was like, we got omelets. I was so hungry. I was like, make me an omelet.
Yeah.
And I ate it, and it was actually good. I was like, dang, I've been missing out. But I didn't eat another one. But I did eat that one. It was really good. And I just recently returned to eating omelets, like last year. I did maybe the year before. But yeah,
Yeah.
so for whatever reason, eggs look creepy to me. It's all about the optics for me. If it looks creepy, it is creepy. It tastes creepy. You know what I'm saying? So
I love
I
them.
did it.
I
Yeah.
love it.
That's why, yeah, just scrambled eggs. Never ever eaten a scrambled egg in my life. Maybe when I was a baby and I didn't know,
Well, you
but I
kind
don't.
of did when you ate an omelet.
Well, it's not. It's different though. The texture is different. You're right. You're absolutely right. But the way it is, the texture is different. But you know what I'm saying?
It
So
all
so yeah.
depends. Yeah, I mean, we can go on a tangent about eggs, but anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, Easter was definitely something my mom always, my dad too, but my dad didn't. It was always my mom, the
Hmm.
the catalyst that
Yeah.
perpetuated the, you know. the different things, Easter wise,
Hmm.
and I miss it.
Hmm.
It was, and we kind of did that with our kids. They had their Easter basket, and they don't.
Hmm.
My girls weren't keen on hard boiled eggs, so I had a
Hmm.
lot of hard boiled eggs. They
Oh
love
yeah.
coloring them and doing the little artistic things with the egg, but
So to color them, you had to have a coloring kit, right? You had to have like the paintbrush, the little paintbrush with the colors or something like that.
you
Is
would
that?
just dip them in this, had a little dipper that you would put it in a cup or whatever that you had to, you could just use food coloring and
Mhm.
vinegar. Someone in there can
I've
elaborate if
seen
they
some
wanted
cats,
to,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a food coloring. And
Gotcha.
we learned that, you could put they had these little stickers in those kits that you talk about. I forget who produced those kits, but you could get different things, and we found out you could do a crayon and you could write stuff on the egg, and the dye
Yes.
wouldn't stick to it because the wax and the crayon would keep it from,
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
We loved it. We
Okay.
loved doing that stuff, man. It was awesome. There's other traditions that we would do too. My mom always made sure that we did. Halloween was always a big thing, and then
Hmm.
around Christmas, she would make these popcorn balls. But those things would pull out your fillings, man. And I don't have great teeth, but we had to be careful with those.
Yeah. Man, our cultures is being eroded, is eroding away. You know what I'm saying? That the stuff I grew up with, stuff you grew up with, it's you don't hear about it anymore, hardly. It's gone. It's
Yeah.
diminishing. It's a shame. Our society is changing, man. Is this what older people, gray beards? Is that what we do? That we
Yeah,
just
that's kind of
really?
and that's what and that's where, when you look at the things that are going on in today's society, we as Gen Xers, and you're a boomer, but
Yeah,
I'm a Gen Xer just by a couple months, and you're a boomer at the end by a couple months.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so him and I are what, about 4 months difference in age, I
A
think.
little bit. Oh, you born in February? Yeah, 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
middle of February, and you're like the middle of October, I think. So,
In October 26. Yeah.
okay, you're end of October, yeah. So
About
three
three
and a half,
months and some
basically three and a
weeks.
half months, difference in age. You're just older than I am, and I'll always let you know that you're older than I am. But
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, you
but
telling me
so
about you. You right, Wayne likes to do research. He enlightened me to some things about dribble, shoot. That's what he calls it.
oh yeah, if you want to talk a little about the old orange ball, so that's March Madness. Well, good segue into, I was like, you know, I was always under the impression that, where did you think basketball originated from?
Um, I
The
did. I
Hoosiers.
guess maybe the Hoosiers.
Yeah.
But the answer definitely makes sense. You know, go ahead
Mhm.
and enlighten them to what you found out.
Well, I just did a quick, I used the old AI co-pilot that's on this Leap Loop box here. It said it was in 1891 at some school in one of the New England states. I don't know if it was Maine.
Massachusetts.
I don't know if it was Mass or Maine. I don't remember, but it was somewhere
Hmm.
up there.
Hmm.
And what I was told, I haven't really confirmed that, but I want to trust what the AI said, that it was this school principal or whatever, the headmaster, whatever it was, he wanted an activity indoors during the wintertime that the
Hmm.
kids or children could participate in. It was more boys than girls, I guess. And so he told I don't know, his PE instructor or whatever they called him, come up with a game that they could play indoors. And he did. Came up with basketball. He put a real basket He had it 10 feet off the floor, which I believe is still the same to this
I think so.
day.
It's 10 feet or 10 something. It's in the
Yeah,
tens for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, and he had originally, it only had maybe 13 rules. You couldn't touch
Mhm.
anybody. You weren't allowed to touch anybody.
Okay.
You couldn't just run with the ball. You had to either pass it or
Dribble.
something, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if dribbling was a thing then. I don't know, but
Hmm.
to move the ball, you had, and there was 9 players on the court, and I think now it's 5
Hmm.
on a team.
That's a
But now
lot.
I
That's a
think,
football team.
yeah, 9 players.
It's crowded.
But the rules were different, right? I don't know how to progress from one end to the other. Um, you had to. It wasn't the dribbling. I don't think you had to either pass it and then you could run and they would pass it back, kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
Someone else could probably do a more in-depth explanation. Um,
Hmm.
but it was designed to be an activity during the winter months because winters were brutal in
Hmm.
1891 comparatively. Even for me, growing up in the 60s and 70s, winters were a lot more, had more snow and they were harsher than they are now, I think. Aside from, I don't know how it was, I can only tell you how it was where I lived in Pennsylvania comparative. If you were to ask me in North Dakota, Minnesota, and those northern states,
Yeah.
New England states up north and New York, they're probably, they're. I've had winters even in North Dakota that were mild, didn't get a lot of snow, but it was cold.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's
Yeah.
definitely been a change in the climate, if you will,
Definitely.
severity. But
Definitely.
either way, that was the purpose. And then I think the girls' league started like 2 years later. And this is interesting
Hmm.
that none of the boys could watch the girls play. They had to be outside of the gymnasium or wherever they were playing.
Why you think that was?
I think it was because it was just the culture of the time, right? I don't really know why the true reasoning, but I would surmise it had to. You couldn't watch girl. They were very separate, and there wasn't very ladylike, if you will, in 1892 or three. You know what I mean?
It wasn't
Men
lady
had a
like
very different um, role, if you will, when it came to women in 1893.
now that you say that, I wonder were they in the women Olympics? Were there Olympics? You know what I'm saying? Were the Olympics had it been invented yet? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Okay, so women
The
had no
Olympics been going
roles.
on for a long time. Now, what we were participating in as far as men and women, I am unsure when that.
Mhm.
Um, were there women? That's something for another topic, I
Yeah,
guess. But
facts.
I'm sure someone could let us know down in the comments if they're willing to do that. Our
Yeah, let's know
viewership
why the
has
women we
our
couldn't watch the
viewership
women
and
play.
support by family, friends, and fans on this show has kind of dwindled. It's getting to a point where I'm not even sure I'm going to continue doing this because I will, for those that comment and stuff, I know that you look forward to hearing from us, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And as long as you're participants I don't expect everybody every week to drop what they're doing and watch our show, but for those that do, I appreciate it. And I know we get busy going on and going forward, but um, because we're what almost June, I think will be 2 years we've been doing this.
It's amazing how time has flown.
It's
Somebody
crazy.
gonna be scrolling on YouTube one day and then discover us. Man,
Mm.
dudes was funny, man.
Yeah.
Hey, we
Well,
gotta
that's
find them dudes and get them on a real show.
yeah.
You know.
It's
And guess what?
crazy.
You loyal supporters, we're gonna bring you with us. We're
Hmm.
gonna
We're
say
gonna.
you were the reason that we continue to
Hmm.
to do
Yeah.
this.
You'll
You
be the
know.
OG.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, appreciate it. You guys watching and stuff. Wayne and I, we assemble around 7-ish in
Hmm.
the morning. We have our pre-graybeards talk. We talk about everything. And
Heck
then
yeah,
we
we
just
talked this morning for hour and a
shoot,
half,
probably about an
something like
hour or
that.
so.
It was
Yeah,
at least,
just
I don't know.
running our mouth.
I didn't look
Should have
at the
been doing the show.
timer to see.
Yeah, it
That's the
was
problem
wild.
though. We get on there and we talk about stuff and we're like, we should probably talk about this on the show, you know.
Hmm.
But that's
What's
it,
going
you
on
know.
Go ahead, Wayne. I'm sorry about
Well, the
cutting you off.
thing
Go ahead.
is everybody's like, current events, right, is hit so hard um, on YouTube and the news, and everybody, you want me to talk about it? You want us to talk about Iran and our thoughts and what this president's doing or this congressperson or, I'm not, that's not what the idea behind this was, right? To talk about current events. It's kind of like what we think, right? Is really the title of this podcast, if you will, is what's going on. We'll tell you what we think. Should we, like when they were using soldiers to enforce laws in the city, do I agree with it? Yes or no? Or um,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
perspective as being a Gen Xer, one of the not the OG Gen Xer, but one of the early Gen Xers by a month and a half. So,
Mm.
and then Bug's perspective as a late boomer, one of the last of the boomers.
Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, you know,
Last of the boomers.
yeah, and if you stayed this long, most people don't. I see the analytics. I can tell you how long people watched, how long you stay, you know, engaged with your audience. And, I kind of ignore that stuff because I know people going, oh, I don't really care about that. And they go on to something else. I get it. Everybody's
A lot of
doing
exciting stuff
this
out there.
thing here. They're going to have this thumb because they're just scrolling, right?
Hmm.
Um, they're, and I get it. And it becomes an attention. I find myself doing it as well. Because some people just get out there. I don't understand it to a certain extent. I do, but
Yeah,
anyways, I digress. But we'll continue to do this as long as Bug wants to do it, and as long as I'm willing to do it.
yeah,
But you
yeah.
know,
We're kind of like when you was in school, didn't you have what they call these things, a time capsule? That's
hmm,
pretty much
yeah,
what we are. We are a reminder of way stuff used to be, and all our points of view is based on how things used to be. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with
hmm,
some upgrades, but you a lot of old school stuff that we want to kind of enlighten you guys to our culture, how we grew up, what was funny to us. The days that we grew up in is definitely eroding away. There were seasons for everything. Like right now, it's spring, and where I come from, everybody would come to school with their yo-yos. You know what I'm saying? In case you don't know what a yo-yo is, a
hmm,
yo-yo is
yeah,
a piece of wood that's round attached to a string,
yeah,
and you could wind it out and wind it back in. And you could do little tricks with it. So this is down in Georgia. This would be yo-yo season.
yeah.
Now the girls weren't allowed to do yo-yos, so they would bring out the jackstones. And if you don't know what that is, this is these little. How can I describe it? If you stepped on one, you would know what it was. It's like, oh, that thing. But
Yeah,
anyway, they had this ball. They would throw up the ball, and they would grab these little what we call
yeah,
jackstones.
yeah.
You
You have
start out with one.
onesies, twosies, threesies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
know Jacks, the game Jacks, as you will,
yeah.
but that's the thing.
So
That's the
it's
cycle, right? And
mhm,
we, as Gen Xers and Boomers, we've created a lot of what's happening, right? And it's called progression, right? We've progressed in life. If you look where we just at what, because I know automobiles, the automotive industry more than I probably should. If you look at progressing through cars and vehicles, right? when back in the early or late 1800s when the automobile was invented, the horseless carriage at the time, there was a lot of opposition to it, right? They didn't want to change. They just, there's nothing wrong with a horse and buggy or whatever, right? Works. Well, it didn't work in the cities that were growing up during the Industrial Revolution. Horse and buggies, they were still around, but they just, you know, it was easier just to have something that you could park here, and didn't have to worry about taking care of the horse. It just sat there and was ready to go when you needed it, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't how I got to go get the horse and harness it up and, do what, sure, it would do the job slower and was it more reliable potentially. But as and that's where we've progressed into stuff. We do things now. I mean, this little box right here, if it would show up, this cell phone
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
more information than I will ever in my short time that I have left on this planet. That in compare, we wanted to know something, we had to go to the library and get an encyclopedia or the Dewey
Speaking of
Decimal
those
System.
encyclopedias, I just paid my encyclopedias off from the 80s.
Those things were stupid expensive, man. It was like, and you tell people how much, you get a set of, I had a set of Britannicas. I don't have them anymore, but
Mhm.
they were like $1,000 or something. And that was a
Yeah.
lot of money for someone that was making $3,000 a year.
And I think my payment was like $26 a month,
Yeah,
plus interest or whatever, interest and
forever,
tax. Yeah,
forever.
yeah, exactly. That's what we
Thank,
used to do.
thank goodness we're out of that. And,
Going
and
back
some
to
things
that
are
horse
good.
and carriage,
Yeah, we got
when I was
about
growing
five
up,
minutes left.
I'm gonna say this real quick. This guy, Mr. Cromer, that was his name. That dude, he never had a car. He used a horse and a wagon, you know what I'm saying? And that's how he got around. He would come to see my grandmother and they would talk for hours outside under the tree. And he had a mule. I don't know if I said that, but he had a mule. And that's how he got around with his horse and buggy. And a
Hmm.
lot of people, I would hear my parents talk about, I almost hit Mr. Cromer this morning. He was out there with that darn wagon. Because there's no lights on this darn wagon. You can't see him if you're not paying attention, man. That was the darn thing was huge. I think it was at least 10 feet long,
Oh yeah,
if not longer. And it
yeah.
had wooden wheels,
The original.
he would hitch that thing up.
That's the
Yeah.
OG pickup truck right there.
I know. He would haul stuff. Yeah. He
They
would
called
haul
the
stuff in that
Well,
freaking
they had
wagon.
different buggies, right? They had, one that was the go to church buggy, or you had the
Yeah.
buckboard, they called it, which was basically the pre-runner to a pickup truck where you could haul your whatever you needed to haul around in it.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. A mule is a pretty big animal. So I just want to throw that out there in case you
Yeah,
guys
I
don't know.
forget a mule. I want to say a mule is like a cross between a horse and a donkey, but I could
Yeah.
be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It's a horse and a donkey. But yeah, like
Yeah.
you said, we only got a couple minutes left, man. But enjoy the talk. We'll speak more on spring and this season, and maybe
Yeah.
next show. We'll give y'all some current events and all that kind of stuff.
Well, we're still waiting to see some bug in his side gig. He does, if you don't know, he does a really good job taking care of people's yards and lawn care and whatever else they need him to do. He's
It's a it's
been
a
doing it a long
painful
time.
thing. Yeah, I've been doing it a long time.
Yeah,
2015. Maybe before that, I can't remember.
it was
No,
before that.
2000. I was 15 years out, so when we retired. Oh yeah,
What are you
shoot,
talking
man.
about? I remember when you
1995.
had the heavy Chevy burdened
Yeah, you're
down with
right.
that stuff.
Yeah,
So that was in
1995, man.
2002 or three,
Yeah,
four.
that's what I got. But I had been doing it a couple years before that. So in the
Yeah,
1990s, I started. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And this is
Mhm.
2026,
I know, man. I'm lost. We better go for it.
2015.
Cut us
That's like
off, man.
11. Hell, I was doing yards before you were then. I started doing yards in 2004.
Yeah, I started before that. It was like 1998, 99, somewhere around there.
I know you were
Yeah.
doing it I'm pretty sure you were doing that when I got here in 98.
Watch that clock, Wayne. It's gonna cut off on us.
I'm watching it. 2 minutes,
Uh,
44 seconds.
okay, cool. I was panicking over here.
Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. We're out of time and we could sit and ramble on, and you don't want to hear about that. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great week coming up. It's supposed to be pretty decent weather. Hopefully, the Orion situation gets resolved quickly. My thoughts and prayers to those that have been lost due to it. And yeah, have a great week and God bless.
Hey, God bless. See y'all next week.
Take care.